Hi everyone, trust you all are doing well. So we can continue where we left off. As you guys remember, we created our Livewire component for the update and things like that. All right. So we're going to continue from this one. All right. So we're going to create a couple of new things. Let's just quickly go to the browser. I just want to show you something. Now, as you can see, we're using a WYSIWYG editor for the user to create a reply. This is really not necessary to do. Just to kind of show an example, because we're going to follow the example that YouTube does. It's quite a big platform and people are kind of used to that and actually like it how it is. So if we go to my comment section, let's say I want to create a reply. It just gives us a box, no WYSIWYG editor or anything like that. And if you want to edit that post, like I shown you before, it just gives you an input field. It kind of minimizes the security risk that you can have when you create a reply. So whoever the user might be, they can actually create a reply on your platform. So what I'm quickly going to do is we're going to replace this just with the text input field, all right, instead of a WYSIWYG editor. And when we do our edits, we're just going to use the same thing. So then just minimize security issues. And as I said, I want to follow the example that we create on YouTube right here so that we can edit it inline like that as well. All right, so that's what we're going to do. As you guys, we just basically just going to continue where we left off, just a couple of changes, and that's it. All right, so let's quickly get started with that, and then we can do our edit. All right, so let's quickly open our reply model. Reply controller. Okay, so I'm just opening my reply controller. So when a person wants to create a reply, we just go to that. And I just want to remove this purify clean because we're not going to need that anymore. All right, because we're not going to have a WYSIWYG editor. You can keep it obviously as you want, but you're going to run into a little bit of trouble. I will explain why a little bit later. All right, so let's just do that from the job. Actually, we just remove the purifier. Okay. And in that show method where that view is, let's just open up that. Let me just actually go there instead of the shortcut so you guys know what I'm talking about. Under resources, views, under pages, threads.show. You guys remember, this is actually where we create the reply. Okay. So instead of the text tricks editor right there, we're just going to use an input field. An input field of type of text. Right, so we obviously have to do a little bit of styling, but for now I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm not going to leave it up to you to style it however you want. Okay. Now as you can see, this is how the input field look like. I'm just going to give it the width of full and a couple of styling, not to take too much up of the video. You can copy it or you can just your preference. Okay, so I'm just quickly going to style it. So I'm just going to add a couple of classes in there. So you just need to, when you change the text input, just change the styling also to class, right? Shadow inner. I'm just going to add a couple of styling. All right. So basically what I've done is I just given it the width of full. I just increase the background color to 200. I give it a border of none. Shadow inner is still the same. And then a focus ring just to be a blue of 400. Okay, so let me go to the browser quickly and show you. So if I refresh this, basically, as you can see, that's why the ring is this little border around it. So when we focus on it, it just gives us that. Okay, so that's all that is. So if I have to type in this is a new reply, as you can see, it works the same, exactly the same. So the form field works. It actually saves the reply, but no security issues and things like that. Okay, so what I want to do, we're still going to add that. Remember the fields that we did in the previous one? We're still going to add that HTML in here, that block of our reply. But for now, we just want to get this to work, edit it, and all that kind of stuff. Right, so this is basically going to be our new reply. I'm not going to use the WYSIWYG editor. If you want to use it, you can, but I would not recommend it. Okay, that's all. All right, so let's continue. So I really don't want to take too much of your time going over things that we already discussed. Right, so the show we're going to leave as is. As you guys remember, we've already done the for each for the reply. Okay, so that's done. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to actually work now on this part right here. Okay, so update view right here. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do, I want to create a couple of public properties. All right, the first one that I want to create is, remember we worked with the old reply, but I'm going to change that in this case. All right, so I'm going to create a public variable called reply ID. I just want to show you something. Let me just, since this we're here to learn, okay, I want to show you this reply right here. Remember, anything that's in here publicly available right here, the public reply, will be exposed on your front end, so in JavaScript. So anyone can access and see whatever this reply is. Okay, I'm going to die and dump, just return this reply so that you can see whatever is exposed on the front end. Right, so what I'm going to do, instead of the old reply, I'm just going to return that reply, just to show you everything that being exposed on the front end. So if you've got sensitive information that you don't want the people actually to see in the front end, like in this case, I'm exposing my replyable, I'm exposing things of how my database is actually set up, if you can understand it, or how I'm trying, how everything is at the back end, how it's set up. It's being exposed on the front end. And I don't want this to happen. Okay, so I don't want this to be exposed. But it's not really such a security issue because we have protection measures in place. But if you don't want certain things to be exposed in the front end, you rather don't want to expose the whole model, basically. That's what I've done in this case. Okay, so what I want to do now is I just want the ID to be available and the body to be available. I don't want all this other stuff to be available on the front end. Okay, so that's why I just want to show you that. So anything that's publicly available will in Livewire will be displayed in the front end like this. Okay, so not a good idea. Unless, of course, you're happy with there's nothing that security-wise going to be a problem. Right, in my case, I just want the ID to be exposed on the front end. So I'm just going to put reply ID. And another one is going to be the public reply original. Let's just call it original body. Right, so this is the original text. All right, so that's our replies original body. And then we're just going to create a new public variable called reply new. Reply. It's actually quite long names, but I'm doing it for the sake of learning and understanding. You can call it shorter names, but don't use just ID, as this is reserved for Laravel, for Livewire. Okay, so this one you can just do original body and original new body, just like new body like this. Okay, but I'm just doing it for learning purposes. Okay, so we created our public variables right there. So what I want to do now is I want to say this reply ID is equal to our model reply ID. Okay, and this dot reply original body, okay, that's going to equal to our reply body. Okay, now the thing is, what I want to do is I want to initialize the component. Okay, just initialize the component state. You will understand in a second what that does. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a new function, and we're going to call it initialize. Okay, so you can shorten it, you're going to call it init or whatever. I'm just doing this for the sake of learning. All right, so just bear with me. All right, then we're going to initialize our reply, just the state. Okay, just to kind of update the state. Right, so next thing that we want to do is just do it underneath our reply. We're going to create that public function. Okay, and that public function now, this is going to be our initialize function. Okay, Nice. And then we're going to pass through our model, reply model. Okay. Now there's a couple of things that I want to do. This original reply, original body is going to equal to our reply body. Okay. You will see in a second why this is handy. So it basically updates the state. So let's say when we edit the post or the reply. So as soon as we update it, it will reinitialize the body, basically our component, and it will display the new updated reply. Okay, so that's basically what it does, as you will see in a second now in this part right here. So this dot new reply new body is going to equal that to our original reply body. Okay. And then the next part that we want to do in this one, so that's our initial, right? So the moment it just basically sets the new body to be the original body. So basically, if after we updated it, it will just be the new body. All right, so let's work on the reply set. So when we actually get the reply. All right, so now we want to create the reply. So we're going to get the reply, and the reply is going to equal to our reply. Then we're going to find our reply. Find or fail. So if it doesn't find it, fail. Okay, and with our this reply ID. Okay, so basically what this is, it's just going to get the reply and find it or fail by the reply ID. Okay, so that's what's going to happen here. Right, so the next thing that we want to do is we want to set this reply body. Okay, we want to set that reply body to this reply new body. And then we want to save the reply. And then when you want to reinitialize the reply. Okay, so just to kind of update the state of the component. So do this, and then we're just going to pass in our reply. Okay, we obviously want to send a session, a success message. If you guys remember, when we created the delete method right here, I just want to flash the session to let the person know, like, listen, your update, your reply updated. Okay, then we reinitialize it. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to actually update our view. So if we go to the render method, we want to use Alpine.js to do most of the hard work at the front end. Okay, so this is basically our component. So this is what we're going to do. Okay, pardon me for that. Original body. So we're going to display that original body right there. Right, so there's a couple of things that we're going to need for our Alpine.js. Okay, so this is our reply ID. So this is the error we get. Right, so now as you can see, our reply is being displayed right there. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is we want to do the editing. We want to create a little button right here so where the user can click edit and actually the field will be displayed for them. Right, so obviously the save is from the previous one. We're going to remove that as well. Okay, but for now, we're going to do our little edit right here. Right, so what we want to do now is we want to create a div, right, that encapsulates all of this. Okay, just move it up there. Why I didn't select it? Let me just select all of it and just move it inside that div. All right, now this is our main div right there. I'm not going to put any Alpine.js on this. I'm just going to put the Alpine stuff on this one right here. Right, so what we're going to do now is we want to create an X data, right, that will either display a form, be visible or not visible. I will show you in a second. Okay, so let me just give us some room in here. Save it like that. Right, so in here we're going to create You see the form field that we have right here. I want this form to only be available depending on if the person clicked the edit button. I don't want this form to show if the person doesn't want to edit the post, basically their reply. Right, so this is what we're going to do is we're going to create a variable and we can call it actually whatever we want. We can call it change reply. Actually, we need to do it in camel case. So change reply. Okay, we can do it like this. All right, and we can set that to false, or you can call it editing. Okay, so this must just be consistent with whatever we're going to do here. All right, so I'm just going to call it change reply. Okay, or edit reply. Let's just call it edit reply. Hey, that makes more sense. Okay, now the next thing that we want to do is we want to create a focus. So if the person clicks the edit button, I want the focus to be immediately on the input field so that the person can start typing. Just a better user experience. Okay, so let's just go to focus and we're just going to create a function. Okay, and this function, and we're going to create a constant of calling text input. And we're going to equal that to this in terms of Livewire there for this dot revs dot text input. Okay. Now the next thing that we want to do is we want to focus that input. Okay, so we're going to put the text input and we just want to focus on it. Okay. We can actually console log. So let's just do a console log dot log our text input. All right. Obviously, we haven't created this refs yet because we need to create this refs on the input in this field right here. But we're going to, I see the video is getting a bit too long. So what we want to do in the next video is we're going to finish our live Alpine.js stuff so that we can edit the post. All right. So we've done our front end, our component coding right here, and we're going to finish our Alpine.js stuff in the next one. Right, I don't want the videos to be too long because some viewers don't like the long videos, they like the shorter videos. So the majority actually. So I'm just going to do that, just cut it off here. So we're going to just continue in the next lesson with our Alpine.js stuff. Okay, for now I'm just going to remove the console log and we're just going to finish this up in the next one. All right, thank you guys for watching. I will release the next one very soon. And see you in the next one. Goodbye.